Now we're in episode 4, and today we like to invite Ben So back again, and he is a technology consultant based in New Zealand, but he is currently under quarantine and is in Hong Kong, but he will be leaving Hong Kong soon. But Ben, it's a pleasure to have you back. Now let's talk a little bit about VPNs.
Mm-hmm.
I read from some technology websites that actually a lot of VPNs are not that secure. 60% of it's related to some companies that's based in mainland China. So not using VPN is much better than using it. And you heard of some big names like Surfshark, for instance, and then there are some Swiss-based ones. These are the ones that some people do recommend. But let's talk about the 60% that we should get rid of first. Is it that many? Are these like just spywares that we should be very concerned about? So what is the VPN, first of all?
Yes, exactly. I was going to start with that because that name is thrown around a lot, but people probably don't understand the details and what they're getting into. And in Hong Kong, most of the reason why people started looking at this was to get access from the mainland. You know, you can't have WhatsApp, Google services are not accessible from the mainland. So that was, it's also a request we get here very often from our clients. Even though they're based in Hong Kong, they spend a lot of time over the border and they need to access their information systems. So why is the VPN a solution for them? The Great Firewall, as it's known, is what it's doing is it's looking at specific websites and putting them onto a blacklist so that anyone from inside cannot reach those specific addresses. So you can think of it as a hard barrier, if you like. So the reason why a VPN might work in that case is it acts as a middleman, as a proxy. So when you're in, let's say, Guangdong, and you want to check Gmail, you don't go directly to Gmail, you go to your VPN server. And then your VPN server, on your behalf, requests your email from Gmail. And then, so it's like a relay. In fact, what you're doing is you're delegating that task to the VPN.
So if you are based in Guangdong or Shanghai, you go to a shop and subscribe to a VPN network. Yes. Isn't it kind of risky when you have to pay?
It entirely is, because exactly, because it's like any other form of delegation. You are trusting that intermediary, and because
that is based in China.
That is based in China. So you must ask yourself that question: do I trust that third party? And if there's reasonable suspicion to answer no, then don't use it. But I have to say, it's not. This is an inherent weakness of VPN.
But it could be a state-owned enterprise too.
It could be. It could be. You do not know. You do not know.
So they got your data when you subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So even if the company is based in Switzerland, who actually is operating it? Will they hand over your data if asked by a government body? That's the question that you need to ask yourself. So
this is like the DNA testing heated debate that's going on too, which will be
because
implemented in Hong Kong in a few days. Right?
Correct.
So extracting what you're doing DNA.
Yeah, what you're doing is you're handing over your browsing history to an unknown party, not an unknown, but possibly a party that you cannot trust fully. And do you really want to do that?
Yeah, and then just like in the novel 1984 by George Orwell, Big Brother is watching you.
Yeah, so there are some ways around this. This is what we've advised companies as well. You can set up your own VPN, so it's your server. You know what's being done with it.
But that would be not for everyone, right? Like setting up your own
No,
VPN.
it's not. It's not. I mean, you need to know what you're doing, and it is more expensive probably.
Yeah.
Mind you, if you have a little bit of technical knowledge, there's so many cloud-based services out there. You can go to AWS, Amazon Web Services. There's a Google Cloud Platform. Microsoft has Azure. So all these are essentially servers out on the cloud that you can rent by the hour, pretty much. And then you pay a certain fee, and then it's yours. You can set it up with whatever software you want, including VPN. You can set up your own mail server, your own website. But yes, you do need to have a good technical understanding in order to do that. But I wouldn't say it's very expensive. It's maybe for tens of US dollars a month.
So you're saying like Amazon Web Services, if you subscribe to their service, you could have your own VPN, and you could access to, let's say, US Netflix through them.
Yeah, that's right. That's another.
I guess
that's another
most people subscribe to VPNs, first of all, if they are based in a closed country, let's say China, and they want to.
But you're right.
Get some sort of entertainment or just use Gmail.
That's right. It's another way to get around of these location restrictions. So you can trick the provider, Netflix in this case, that you actually are in the US. If you rent a server from Amazon that is based in the US.
Right. Have you looked into some of the more so-called reliable names in VPNs? I mentioned Surfshark.
I haven't.
And I know it's difficult for you to recommend names because you're technology consultant. You try to be unbiased, but definitely there are some Swiss-based and US-based ones that most people have heard of.
In principle, a Swiss one would be more preferable. The US regulations around data privacy are not as strong as European ones. And I believe even though Switzerland is not part of the EU, it does sign up to the, what's it called, GPDR. It's the European Union regulation around data privacy. And but I tend not to use a VPN because I think it's inherently problematic. So my solution would be if you want simply to have your web surfing not tracked, then I would recommend it's a browser called Tor, T-O-R.
T-O-R.
Tor, yes.
I haven't heard of it.
So what it does, it offers you within the browser itself the same functionality of a VPN. So it relays your web request through anonymous servers. So there could be 4, 5, 6 different relays, and each time it's so your browsing history is not immediately visible. Someone would have to come around and make the connection between all those 6 different computers on the network, and then join the dots to understand that you were actually browsing Netflix, let's say.
Okay. Have you been using Tor, T-O-R, yourself?
Not regularly. I do it sometimes, and if people want to know about that, there are other things. I mean, if you think this is important, then you should be taking other precautions as well, to the extent where you should probably be installing a thumb drive with a standalone system where Tor is installed. And when you use Tor, you do not log in to anything. You should always browse anonymously. Otherwise, if you do send a username and password, it's more likely that you can be tracked. So there, again, it goes back to my earlier point. Security is a state of mind. You can't hide behind the argument that, I'm using secure software. There's no such thing. There's always a vulnerability. And the only protection is how careful you are.
Okay. Well, I guess maybe one last point has nothing to do with VPN. It's how can you secure, let's say, any sent messages in, let's say, in Gmail. Now, we asked about that question in the Chinese episode before. There's a delayed function, right? Like when you send something out, sometimes it's fat finger, and then you find out after you send something, can you retrieve it back? Yeah, can you share with the audience?
Yeah, sure. So this isn't really a recall of email. So again, what you need to understand is when you send out an email, it goes out into the internet and then it disappears. It's out of your hands. It's the same as if once you post a letter into a mailbox, it's gone. It's illegal, in fact, for you to retrieve that. It's no longer yours. Same thing with email. And then what Gmail does by offering the so-called unsend feature, what it's really doing is it's delaying the sending of the email by a user configurable lag. So you can say, after 30 seconds, this email really is gone. So within that half a minute, if you go into Gmail, you'll see after you hit the send button, there'll be a little message saying, do you want to unsend? Something to that effect. So you have 30 seconds in which to decide to cancel the sending. It's not really recalling the email.
So it's not really an unsend, you're just delaying the sending of message.
Correct. Yeah.
Can you set it up on your iPhone too? Because most people send messages through their mobile device.
You can, yeah. But you need to use Gmail, the Gmail app. I use iOS, so I don't think the Apple Mail app has that ability because it's a proprietary thing that Gmail offers. But I would say if this type of thing is important, maybe you should consider encryption of email, and that solves a lot of other problems as well.
Okay, so even Microsoft Outlook or Hotmail, they don't have that function. So it's just
I don't know. They could. They might. But you need to be using a Microsoft email client because it's not really in the protocol of email. It's something that they've added on top. So you would need to use something that that understands that delay function.
Now, I guess we only got 30 seconds left. You mentioned last time there is a movie about an ex-CIA analyst who is now in exile.
Yes.
Called Edward Snowden.
Ed Snowden.
Can you tell us something about that Netflix movie?
I love that movie. I think it illustrates a lot of the points that we've been talking about and what powers, what abilities government bodies have in tracking private citizens. So the name of the movie, I think, is called Citizen 4. That was apparently the code name he used, Ed Snowden used, in contacting the reporters. So that was his alias. So in the course of this movie, you get a very good insight into the types of information and intelligence agencies, but in particular the US intelligence agencies, can gather on private individuals. And it's very chilling. It's very surprising. I think frightening is probably the right adjective to use.
Well, talking about
the level of surveillance they can operate.
Edward Snowden, he might get a pardon from President Donald Trump that he might be able to go back to the U.S.
I don't know. Maybe there's an election coming up.
Because there's an election coming up.
Yeah.
You never know.
But for people who are interested in this topic, I would highly recommend watching that movie.
Right. Okay, well, thank you so much, Ben.
You're welcome.
From Seal Industries. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Ed.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.